Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Crypto Masters podcast, helping the general public to master an understanding of crypto assets. My name is Brian McCoy.
And my name is Ross Eaton.
And we are the Crypto Masters. All right, Ross, the topic of today's episode is Hedera Hashgraph, which uses DAG technology for its distributed ledger. We've discussed this DAG before on previous episodes. It is not blockchain. Boom, that's interesting.
Ooh.
Instead, it uses its patented Hashgraph. Stay tuned to find out more. A quick reminder.
Hook is set.
Hook is set. A quick reminder. Our goal here at the Crypto Masters is to provide information about crypto assets to help the public decide if it's something they want to invest in and do further research on their own. We generally look at projects to determine if they would be good for long-term investment, not really short-term trading.
Yeah, for sure. We're trying to provide information about different crypto assets to really allow you to make your own investment decisions. And if you haven't heard our show before, this is the time we say this is not financial advice. But hey, guys.
It is not.
It is not. But hey, buckle up because we're going to discuss, directed acyclic graphs. And
Boom.
that's what Brian just mentioned.
That's
we'll
DAG.
be from here on out, just know we're saying DAG. That's what we're talking about. But we've talked about that in a previous episode of IOTA. But IOTA's focus is really the Internet of Things, and Hedera's Hashgraph has a little bit different focus, Brian.
Yeah, it's more on the big companies, the enterprises, and so we'll be talking about that. So let's start at the beginning, Ross. We don't always do this, but let's start with the history and the founders.
Ooh, a little twist, Brian. I like it. It's not directed. Maybe not. I don't know.
Hedera Hashgraph started as a company called Swirlds. I don't know, Swirlds, anyway, which started
It's a good pause.
Yeah, it was started by a couple of computer scientists named Mance Rayder. Oh, wait, no. Game of Thrones, people know what I'm talking about. Mance Harmon and Dr. Lehman Baird. So they were in the U.S. Air Force together, and the company started in Texas. Its white paper was released in 2016. So Swirlds raised several millions in an IPO or an ICO in 2017, started Hedera Hashgraph. Hedera Hashgraph now is actually governed by 39 corporations, including Google, Boeing, IBM, LG, and Swirlds.
You're sure you're saying that right? Google? Okay.
I did say Swirlds. So this is called their governing council. And these council members run nodes, some of them, and they're the ones to decide changes or upgrades to the protocol. Its consensus mechanism is patented. It's not open source like most crypto projects, and it cannot be forked. They're very serious on not allowing any forks of their code. So, Ross, at a high level, how does Hedera Hashgraph work?
Yeah, so definitely going high level here. Just kind of disclaimer just before I start this, that it is complex. We'll leave links below, but we're just keeping a high level here. But it's a layer one platform. Its target user seems to be, larger corporations. And as you said, Brian, it's a DAG. It's not blockchain. Blockchain is linear. I'm talking with my hands here, so if you're on the podcast, I'm sorry. But blockchain is linear. It's one block follows one and forms a chain. Whereas DAG, the nodes kind of share information with each other about transactions. So over time, each node kind of learns about the whole network itself. And this is sort of a random fashion. And, obviously each transaction is time-stamped. But Hedera calls this aspect of its consensus mechanism gossiping. So hopefully that didn't put a bad taste in your mouth if you're
Against gossip?
Yeah, against gossip. But there's no specific time in which the nodes are required to reach a consensus. So it is a proof of stake mechanism with no block time. And this allows the nodes to achieve consensus in just a few seconds. But we'll leave links below, with everything again, because there's a lot going on here with the consensus mechanism, and it's not
easy to explain.
It's not. Yeah. If we could have a whole episode on how this consensus mechanism works. We really could. It's that complex. But yeah, see the links below.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, but Hedera reports that it can process around 10,000. That's 3 zeros after 10, Brian. 10,000 transactions per second. Think about that.
That's a big number.
That is a big number. But Hedera's claims about this transaction, there is a little asterisk with it. That the 10,000 transactions per second is limited to just wallet-to-wallet transactions. So, me sending Brian some money because I owed him some money or something, But for these transactions, for other transactions, it seems to be around 10 per second. So quite a difference there.
A little bit.
Little difference there. Little zeros taken away. But Hedera's network can be used for smart contracts. And I'll kind of go into this later, but, of course, we've seen smart contract platforms before. You can run dApps on it, stuff like that. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about its token here, HBAR. And the tokenomics of HBAR, there's a maximum supply of 50 billion. And right now, there are under 9 billion in circulating supply. So only about 18% in circulation right now. So there's still a lot of inflation remaining.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I believe there is a graduated release for those, maybe over 15 years. So it's not like all of the remaining.
It's not just going to dump.
The remaining inflation is not going to be dumped immediately. In 2018, Hedera Hashbar sold about 17% of its total in a pre-sale to accredited investors. So pretty big pre-sale. In 2019, these early investors dumped some of their HBAR on the market, and that affected the price, as dumps always do.
Yeah. In
2020, even more tokens were distributed to the early investors. So I think it was maybe another 3%. So there at least a total of 20% distributed to the early investors or the pre-release. It's not a mine. It's not proof of work. But there was about a 20% pre-release, and then there was some allocation to the founders also. And those allocations are not subject to any lockup. And we've seen, Ross and others, so it's a proof of stake. So these stakeholders that we're talking about on the council that run the nodes, some of the big names that I just mentioned, Google, IBM, et cetera, they've staked some HBAR, but unlike some other projects that we've talked about where there's an ability to slash the stake of a validator node that engage in malicious behavior. We've talked about that many times.
Yeah,
sure. So Hedera does not have that.
It would be nice to slash Google, though, wouldn't you say?
Well, yes, you can kind of see why. It's like they don't really want to slash Google.
Yeah. I don't know if I stole your thunder there.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So as far as network incentives to encourage the price action for HBAR, the network fees are paid in HBAR, so that, like most projects, is how there's demand for the token. There are no blocks or the no block rewards. The nodes get about 90% of the fees, and then about the other 10% of the fees goes to the swirls for the licensing royalties. Again, we mentioned it's patented. Swirls has a patent. And swirls can sell their HBAR on the open market. So again, there's no lockup for that. So bottom line, and I'll probably talk about this later, is there's some issues with the HBAR tokenomics.
Okay, well, on a positive note, let me talk about the big names on its council. As you mentioned, Google, that's a big name, of course.
Pretty big name.
Pretty big. Google joined the council in 2020. Also, Zain Group, a big telecom company in the Middle East, joined the council. With these big councils we mentioned before, they're kind of going after these bigger contracts like that. But Hedera also got involved with tracking COVID-19 vaccine, and they partnered with the Mayo Clinic and National Health Services in the UK for vaccine tracking.
It's pretty impressive.
Oh yeah, and also a big company called Highland That's really impressive. They joined in as well.
Yep.
But yeah, you can see they're, big names on the council. They're kind of going after, big contracts, partnering with, the Mayo Clinic, stuff like that.
Yep.
And very recently, Hedera has been mentioned in patient applications or patent applications for JP Morgan, Alibaba, Amazon, eBay, Samsung, Motorola, Sony. Big names, just to name a few. But I'm not sure what to make of this. But it seems to be, some very, very big companies are involved and interested in the Hedera Hashgraph technology. So you can see we got some big players on the council involved, and obviously those players can land these big contracts.
Yeah,
So,
there's no question they have an impressive list of companies that they're working with.
yeah, they've got the trust behind them. So,
Yeah, so you got to think about that. That's a factor for sure in their favor. So, but one area of criticism for Hedera is decentralization or lack thereof. So we've talked before, Ross, about the 3 pillars of distributed ledger technology, right?
Yep.
You got scalability, you got security, and you got decentralization. And what basically everybody says is you can get 2 of these 3, but it's really hard to get all 3.
Yep.
And for DAG technology, which we talked about before with IOTA, which we both really liked.
Oh yeah, for
and with the DAG technology, you can get the 2, scalability and security, right? And so where they have the issue with DAG technology is decentralization. That's the case for IOTA, and I think that's the case for Hedera Hashgraph as well. So you may recall with IOTA, they have a centralized, they call it coordinator, to determine the final consensus, and they're trying to eliminate it. As I last looked at their roadmap, they're hoping to eliminate it by the end of 2021. But they've been doing it before. They've tried to eliminate the coordinator with the court aside.
Yeah.
Before. So it's just an issue with DAG technology. So let's look at the decentralization for Hedera Hashgraph. And to me, when we talk about decentralization, there's really 2 aspects of it. One is the consensus mechanism, and the other is the governance mechanism. So let's start with consensus mechanism, which you talked about before, how nodes share the information through gossiping, and that's the hash graph. And it's fast and it's secure, and I think that's accurate. But I looked at the Hedera website itself, and there was a blog post from fairly recently, from when we're doing this, May of 2021, and they just upgraded from 18 nodes to 20 nodes in their network.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think about number of nodes, that is not very many.
It's pretty low.
And then my understanding is that council members that we talked about before, like Google, LG, and et cetera, those are the node operators. So of the 20, many or most of those are also council members. So I would say, first of all, 20 nodes is not decentralized. Now, to be fair, Hedera says that it will continue to expand node operators, and someday there'll be many nodes, maybe hundreds or something like that. But not now. There's 20.
Yeah, for sure. This is where it is right now, for sure. Yeah.
So it is proof of stake, but there is no, like we've talked about before, there's usually a mechanism where if you have a bad actor or a node engages in malicious behavior, you can slash their stake as sort of a punishment for the bad action. Mm-hmm. So according to Hedera itself, from a video I've seen, the remedy against the bad acting is for a node, bad acting by a node is, I guess, for the entity to take it to court. Lawyer up. Now I'm in favor of policies that contribute to the welfare of lawyers and their families.
Yeah, I think you have a background in such activities.
Yeah, but to me, this seems very impractical, almost absurd. To take a node to court, and I know firsthand how long that takes. It's just not.
Yeah, it's kind of like in the meantime, what's happening to the system?
What's happened in the years? Yeah. So anyway, and so then let's talk about the governance. In our last podcast, we talked about Bancor and its DAO and how almost really everything is voted on by the token holders. With Hedera, it's the council that makes all decisions, and that's right now 39 members. So again, not very decentralized. So to be fair, others can make proposals, but then they're not part of the decision. The council makes the decision.
Yeah.
So again, not exactly decentralized. And like I said before, council members also run the nodes. So, that's an issue. And then again, we're talking about decentralization. Remember, technology is patented by Swirlds. So, Swirlds or whoever, and I don't know the details of the licensing agreement between Swirlds and Hedera Hashgraph, but Swirlds own the technology of Hashgraph. So again, something to think about.
Yeah. So this is the part of the show where we usually tell you how to buy it or where to buy it. And of course, again, we're backing up, but the Hedera Hashgraph has the HBAR token. So where can you buy that token if you like what we're talking about? It's listed on Binance, Huobi Global, Bittrex, OKEX, and if you're in the US, you can buy it on Binance US. So relatively easy for people to get their hands on it, but not so many options for US citizens at this time. But we were talking about this before, Brian, that there's a rumor. Of course, you know how rumors are in the crypto space. There's a lot of them, and it's always on Twitter. But the rumor is it's going to be added to Coinbase, which I don't think that's too far-fetched. I mean, as of this episode, Hedera or the HBAR tokens within the top 100 in market cap. So that's not too crazy of a rumor. So, hey, we'll see.
I like you said, I saw some, videos or whatever that rumor is that Coinbase is going to list it soon, but who knows?
Yeah.
All right. I think, Ross, it's time for final thoughts, and you are up this week, sir.
Oh, it is me. Well, me and Brian always sidebar this stuff before he talks, so I'm hoping I'm not stealing any of your points
steal
or
my
thoughts.
thunder. I don't care.
But
you take the heat, not me.
Well, I say, obviously the tech's got to be good if you've got big players like, Alibaba and Google and all these big players joining the council. I mean, the tech's good. It's not decentralized, and we kind of talked about the three pillars. It's got scalability, it's got security. But I mean, if you're not going to be decentralized and achieve scalability, it's kind of like you're not playing the same game as someone like Ethereum or Bitcoin that is decentralized. We were talking about this analogy before. Like, it's kind of like if me and Brian were running a race and we were timing our times, I'm faster than Brian, Brian's faster than me this week. And then someone comes along on a bicycle and says, "Hey, I beat you both." It's like, well, yeah, we're running. We don't have a bike in this race, So I don't know. That's a loose comparison, but for me, I think this is going to do well with the who's on the council. I think they're going to be able to land contracts as they have, with the COVID-19 tracking we've seen.
Yeah,
but
that's impressive.
I think out of principle with, the patented technology and open source, me being a developer and being a big supporter of open source technology, I think it's not going to enter my portfolio. And yeah, that's kind of my final thought there. I'll keep it light, but I'm not a fan. Not
going to buy it. All right. So I, like you, Ross, I like the DAG technology as an alternative to blockchain. We got into a lot of detail on this on our IOTA episode, and I think we both were like, wow, this DAG technology is different. And
sure.
To me, I think it's good for the crypto space to have alternatives. Blockchain is the standard, but now there's something different. There's this DAG, and IOTA calls it the Tangle, and Hedera Hashgraph calls it the Hashgraph, but it's different. So I like that, and that's the kind of thing that can lead to improvements, which benefits everybody in the crypto space. Yeah. So, and I agree with you. As far as I can tell, the tech for Hedera is good. I would even say very good. I don't think Google, LG, IBM, and other big enterprises would be getting on board like this unless it was good technology. So the tech is good. Yeah. Kudos for the tech. And to me, the founders seem very impressive and very smart. So I like that. And so I think on the security and the throughput or the scalability, really good. They nailed it. But Here comes the
Ooh.
This is centralized.
Here we go, folks. Strap in.
I mean, I know that they say they're on the road to decentralization, and they probably are. And a lot of crypto assets are early in the decentralization process, so I don't want to hammer them too hard for this. But right now, this is very centralized. It promises that it'll add more nodes and maybe even expand the council. But from what I can tell, that appears to be a long, long way off.
Yeah.
And to me, the fact that its tech is patented, how do you ever get really decentralized if your tech is patented? I mean, Swirl owns the patent. There's a single point of failure. There's your single point of control.
Yeah.
So that's just an issue. And, you know, I don't want to go too far on the extreme. I'm not a zealot on, you know, sort of the ideals or principles of crypto, which very much embrace decentralization. You know, if somebody out there just wants to make money, I want to invest in this, maybe like a stonk. You know, I own stonks, so I can't cast too many stones. Those are centralized.
Yeah, I'm in that boat.
So if you just want to make money and you're not on the spirit of crypto thing, then that's fine. You know, that's legit. That's your thing. I think for some people, they'll be turned off by that fact alone.
Yeah.
But for others, you know, hey, I'm just here to make some money. So can this make some money? Well, again, I think the tech is good and they are doing outstanding with these enterprises that are getting on board. But for me, and I've mentioned this before with other projects, the tokenomics of this are not good. I was going to say putrid, but I'll just say not good.
Oh, yeah. We've heard that one before.
Yeah. First of all, they've had
a putrid counter almost.
Yeah. They had a very big pre-sale, you know, where they sold to accredited investors or venture capitalists, and the founders got a pretty big allocation with no lockups. There's still a bunch of inflation. I think we saw, you know, 82% or something like that, still to be released, you know, time released, but still it's going to come to market at some point. To me, that's just too high. The scarcity isn't going to happen for a long, long, long time. So I don't see the investment to buy HBAR. I love DAG technology, but right now, at least with tokenomics, certainly IOTA, I like IOTA's tokenomics better. I mean, IOTA's totally released every, its circulation is the total, so there's no more to be released. So there's scarcity with IOTA, and there's not with HBAR. Granted, the technology is different. Really, the market is different. I mean, IOTA went after Internet of Things, but it also does have smart contracts, and you know it's much more broad than that. And I think the same with Hedera. Like, they're going after big enterprises, but you know has smart contracts and everybody can use it. I just think if it comes down to tokenomics, clearly IOTA is better, and really just based on the tokenomics and the centralization, it's not for me. I won't be buying. But again, do your own research. Take what we've said as a starting point and go from there.
Yeah, definitely let us know in the comments below. Tear us apart if you feel that you want to.
I mean, tear us apart or give us some facts, you know, or give some arguments, and we're certainly open to that. And then, you know, maybe the people that have listened to the podcast or watched the video will go to the comments and see the other arguments, which I know exist. And
for sure.
And there are smart people investing in this. So, you know, I'm just saying it's not for me. And primarily for the two reasons I said, the lack of decentralization and tokenomics.
Yeah, I think tokenomics aside, for sure, this would be a good investment. You know, I can't say it's a bad investment. You know,
it has potential, but with the tokenomics, you know, are you going to benefit from that?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
the question. That's something to look into.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of like, you know, piggybacking off Brian, tokenomics and then principle. You know, so
yeah. If you're a decentralization purist, you're not going to invest in this. That's just the fact.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say we necessarily are, but I just love decentralization, open source, sharing information and technology. That's why I love it.
For me, it's a factor, but not a deal killer.
Yeah.
But for some people, you know, their principles are otherwise. And for other people, they won't care at all. So it's just going to make me money. So, you know, that's what we got to decide.
And hey, that's totally fine.
All right, man. So that was Hedera Hashgraph. But you know what? Join us next time for another crypto asset on the Crypto Masters.
Yeah, and again, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think. And hey, this was a episode suggested by one of our followers. And if you want us to cover something next, comment down below, and we'll sure to put it on our list.
We're interactive. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.